And also, it's time to send this over to my boys, Lando and Steady, the future dad duo in the CDL. Fellas, how you doing today? And good luck with the cast.
Appreciate that, Val. Yes, it is your dad duo. We're here to tell you to eat your vegetables and, well, to do your homework, quite frankly. And Jay, we've done our homework coming into this series. Toronto versus Paris, as Dave was just mentioned it. Two teams that met each other at the Major II qualifiers. And last time around, it was Paris that was able to take it, buddy.
Yeah, Paris did it in 2 hard points as well. And I'm pretty sure we have the same exact hard points in this series. So Paris can try to do it again, but this is going to be a tough series. A very actually important series for both of these squads. Paris Legion currently in the CDL point sitting at 20. If they don't start racking up some wins, they're not going to be able to make champs. So it has to start now because we only have 2 majors left in a couple weeks of qualifying matches. And then for Toronto, currently sitting in the middle of the pack, basically tied from 5th to 11th. Like, it's tough for them. So every win, especially versus a team like Paris Legion, who are dead last in the CDL, this is very important for them to try to spread that point system when we get to that later half of the season.
Yeah, and it's easy, right? We're in the middle of our Major III qualifiers. We're getting ready to head into the Toronto Major. Like, it's easy to kind of forget what the overarching story is throughout this season, which is to get as many points as possible. And obviously this season we'll have 10 big ones on the line. We'll go and take a look at our maps and modes. We'll be taking a look at Bocage Hardpoint to start things off. Jay, I don't know what it is, man. It feels like every time that we cast, it feels like we're getting Bocage Hardpoint to start things off. And I think this is the 4th time in a row that we've actually seen the Legion play an opening hardpoint on this very map.
Well, this is one of their strong hardpoints. Their best hardpoint in this series is going to be Tuscan, which is map 4, but this is their second best. Overall record sitting at 4-8 compared to Toronto, who are 4-5. The way that Paris Legion like to play this is just run and gun, try to get some early momentum. But I think the biggest thing for me, every time they start this series off with this map specifically, is to try to get your SMGs on point. Right now, throughout stage 3, you have Jimbo, who is dead last in KD with like a 0.57. It's not good. And then you have John, who's basically top 5 or bottom 5 in this map as well. Overall in stage 3, sitting at a 0.82. So I'm definitely looking at both of those SMG players to start off hot in this series.
Yeah, and you and I, like I said, we were looking at the stats coming into it, and it just feels like every map, it's like you got Gravity and especially Temp, like in the upper echelon, like the top 10 KDs. I think of Bocage, they both sit in the, like I said, top 10 range. And then you look at the double J duo, like Jimbo and John, just not there consistently, as that will be the story throughout this series. And obviously the desk has alluded to it. We'll only continue to talk about it. Can Paris have some overall roster consistency? Will today be the day? And can they have Toronto's number? As we say goodnight to the final 4 seconds over at P1, we get ready for the rotation now over toward field, and Toronto set up and ready to go.
Yeah, Toronto did a great job already to start this game. They usually struggle with that P1 hard point, giving up about 15 to 20 seconds to the opposing team and only averaging about 8. So the fact that they were able to get at least a good 20 points off of that P1 and keep the spawns for P2, you see how difficult it is for Paris Legion to try to break in when Toronto Ultra are fully set up. That's going to be a clean 4 down. Now with 40 seconds left, Paris Legion have to try to break this from the front.
And you saw Insight get involved in that feed. He's also got a high majority of their hill time up to this point. Last time, Jay, that we saw Toronto Ultra, you and I had the cast, right? They were able to take down the New York Subliners. However, Insight was not in the lineup. It was the Toronto NA Academy star, good old Scrappy from Challengers, who was able to help them get the W. It's fair to say, I don't know, you kind of expect Toronto potentially to have a little bit of a slower start, given that they've got another player, a new player, back in the lineup, just trying to make sure everything is good and ready to go. And based off that score, it appears that they are ready to get into the series, to get into this cage as Kleenex falls off of the 5 spree. Toronto Ultra up big after our first 2 hills.
Yeah, that was a flawless hold on that P2 hard point. Now you just want to try to break in from the front and from top. Multiple angles coming in from Toronto. That's going to be a clean 4 dead once again. Toronto Ultra are just a step ahead so far in this map. Number 1, they were able to clip the spawns. Now it's going to force Paris Legion to try to break in once again. They didn't have success at P2, but Jimbo with that 2-piece is going to get that early break for Paris.
Early break for Paris as Legion look to try to secure a few of these seconds. I know it's not going to be easy when we talk about grandmas, but right now doing a great job, as unfortunately Kleenex has snuck his way through the back. So that could be an opportunity for Toronto to wipe those seconds away and give it toward the boys in purple. But it looks as if time will clear. 13 seconds left at Granny's before we now head to Barn. The race for spawns is on. It appears that it will be once again Toronto on the top left side of your map, controlling spawns. They did it for field, and now they look to do it again. Gravity having a solid start to this game. It's not equaling out to a lot of time.
Yeah, Gravity on this map specifically for Paris Legion, he's their best player. His overall KD on this map is a 1.22. So far, he's having a great game, sitting at 9-7, but just the way that Toronto Ultra have been playing this has been flawless. They want to have that initial break off the rip of the hard points, but then set up perfectly on the rotation to get that initial time. Trades going back and forth. John's going to do everything he can from this field side. He finds 3 before he does get taken down, but this has been a mixy P4 between both of these squads.
And I want to ask you too, Jay, like you said, 20 seconds left right now over at Barn. Toronto nearing ever closer to that century mark. But if you are Coach McGee, right? By the way, shout out to him. It's his birthday today. Shout out to Theory. What do you say to the SMGs? Because he knows the story. The entire CDL community knows the story. It's about the SMGs. It's about the consistency. And Ali was talking about it. You've got 2 great SMGs who just are very inconsistent. How do you almost generate consistency whenever you know what the primary issue is with those 2?
I think it just has to be a pacing thing, because when I look at John and Jimbo on the map, they basically both play at a very, very fast speed. So when you're not clicking between each other, communication is not on point with your SMGs, that is when you're going to struggle. And right there, you see it. Toronto Ultra able to get another clean 4 dead and then flip those spawns. Paris Legion, it's just a pacing thing. If you can get your SMGs on the same pace with your ARs, that's going to be the way that they find success. But right now, it's just one player's playing way too fast, one player's playing way too slow, and it's getting countered every time.
Yeah, it is. That's the one issue, right? If you are Theory, if you are this, the Paris team, you're trying to work on some pacing problems. Toronto is not exactly the team that is gonna allow for you to figure some things out. They're gonna take it to you every single time, especially with Kleenex up in your grill every single chance that you get to look at that HP. Finally wiped away, but it has been a solid start for the Ultras. They are up big after the first set of rotations. And I guess too, Jay, you and I were having a conversation about Toronto with Scrappy, and kind of that same topic of conversation about pace. Whenever they were playing with Scrappy, man, everybody, it looked like was running twice as fast.
Yeah, no, definitely. When they were playing with Scrappy, Scrappy, he's a very aggressive AR player, so he's just gonna set up his SMG to just run and gun every single time. So everyone was stepping up in that last series by 15 to 20 engagements, so that's massive for them. Now with Inside on the team, we know that he's more of a slow, more methodical AR, and sometimes it can come back to bite them. But just the way that they are playing in this hard point so far, they're looking flawless. You have Bance sitting at 16-9 on a 4 spree, and on the opposite side for Paris Legion, it's the pacing issue between the SMGs. Jimbo at 18-14, but then you have John at 11-20. So going into the second half of hard points, Paris Legion need to not allow Toronto Ultra to get set up on these hills, because they really struggle on breaking.
Yeah, Paris really have yet to, like we said, see a solid few moments of hill time, as they've only got 60 as we now head in toward P2 of the second set of rotations. Again, it is Toronto with spawns. Again, it is Cammy going off 22-15. He has had himself a qualifier so far. I think he leads this team right now in overall KD. Somebody who's been talked about a lot as what could be the culprit behind a few of Toronto's early season struggles, but great map so far. We'll see if he can continue to pick it up, as he's really just happy to soak in the time, try to figure out where a few of these Paris players are parading in from. Nice shot from Gravity will now allow for John to have a second of some scrap time. The beamer there from Mr. Tommy G, as he eventually gets wiped away. Still some valuable seconds for Paris, but Jay, you're happy if you're Toronto, to just leave this hill vacant, allow for the game clock to come into play.
Yeah, Toronto did a great job of at least trying to attempt to flip those spawns. We had one player from Paris Legion who spawned out towards back 10, but then the rest of the guys spawned out all the way behind P3. So now Toronto Ultra should be able to get this remaining junk time. You're going to have Jimbo trying to contest this, not trying to give this up, as he finds 3 in the feed on a 4 spree, can potentially pick up a glide bomb.
Okay.
As he's not missing right now on a 5, but just look at that score, man. Down 100. Toronto Ultra trying to break these spawns. They have players spawning in towards back L. It's going to be on Gravity if he can hold down this back position. Oh, he gets taken down.
He gets dealt with pretty much instantly. Oh, the one little opportunity that Toronto has, they completely seize the chance as everybody gets wiped away in a matter of moments, but Kleenex still alive. Toward the back as he looks to wipe away player after player. An unfortunate teammate comes through. Bance shuts down Kleenex, and just like that, Paris have got a moment to maybe grab a few of these seconds.
And right now, Toronto Ultra playing so well, almost up by 100 points. Let's step aside and listen to the calm sound with the Toronto boys.
Wait, kitchen. Yeah, kitchen. Just close right. Back window. Yeah, I think back window done.
Yeah, flip. Back roll now.
I'm help. Gravity weak. I'm pressuring this.
I'm already low god tank.
Push
on me, he's going kitchen.
I can get time.
They're going for right.
Hey, we got deep right.
Okay, Jimbo's front main.
One top.
Main to kitchen.
Top P3. Okay. Okay. I got that. One front A is knee. One shot. Staying hard.
Hey, top P3 killed me.
Are we gonna deep
me?
one
One
main?
top P3 is gonna go left. He's gonna go left.
I go Peach. I'm going back door.
Hey, so watch my truck door. Truck door temp. Truck door
I spawned out. I
temp.
spawned out.
Behind me. Deep.
Door temp.
John's in close. No pushing yet.
Absolute damage.
Nice.
One more. Low tank. Gravity.
We flipped.
One's going hold. Low tank.
Oh,
Low P2 tank. P2 tank pushing through to 10. Yeah, I'm watching 10. Cross. 10 cross.
Oh, some top line.
we haven't
One
finished.
P2 door.
Yeah,
P2 door.
I'm dead in
P2 to heady.
front.
P2 heady.
You on door? Dead.
The only guy.
Dead.
P2 heady.
I got
Alright,
time.
what was we might flank right. I saw Tim go right.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Where is he?
He's hit back.
I want top P3, one
Weak
back.
as fuck, man.
Is it like
Really
go
big
hold,
back
go
door.
hold
There's
him,
two
hold
back doors. I
him.
think that's it.
Yeah, we flipped.
Good shit.
Let's hold
Front
it.
left.
Go in gate. Front hub.
I'm gonna play corner
I've
tank.
got main.
Yeah,
Nice.
no clue. Nice, good shit. I spawned right, bro.
Listen, let's try not fucking let him get through here.
Let me get on corner tank.
Net man for now.
I'm
Nice.
in this, bro.
Temp and Jimbo.
He's probably through.
no,
This guy's
no,
looking
yeah, we're
through.
looking for Jimbo.
I'm top P3.
Yeah, he is. Jimbo, gone deep. Deep.
Listen, I'm going right cross.
One front, two front now.
Yep, stay alive.
All right, Toronto Ultra. I mean, Jay, it feels like every time we go to a Toronto listen,
Yep.
I'm nearly falling asleep, to be honest. No, I'm not falling asleep, but like, it's just, everyone's calm, and which I guess makes sense this time around. Like, we always joke, like, when they're in the middle of a very intense hard point, the comms are always like that, but they have a reason to feel comfortable right now. Up big right now, it seems, in this game. Everybody is flying, and Cleanex especially is at the majority hand for that. What a game he has had so far. And Toronto continue to stack away the seconds. It feels like they could do no wrong. 30 seconds away from calling this one theirs.
Yeah, Toronto Ultra, they just been a step ahead so far in this map number 1. Tep does pick up that glide bomb, does find a kill all spawn, but you're still down by 80 points. Ultra, all you need to do is just try to soak up at least a couple seconds off P1 and then just dominate P2 the way that you have been so far in this game. Paris Legion, right now, this is just a warm-up. You just have to get your guns a little bit hot. Right now, Jimbo's playing really well, 33 and 25, but it's all on John. Sitting at 19 and 34, is really having a slow start to this series. Toronto Ultra, only 24 points away from closing out map 1.
Yeah, and it goes back to the same issue, right? Where it's like the inconsistency with the SMGs. If you were to tell me Jimbo was going to have a performance like this, I mean, possibly drop a 40 bomb, I would be thinking the score is totally flip-flop, Jay, but not at all the case. Like we said, that consistency out of this Legion lineup right now, not showing it, but hey, they still have a chance. They still got an opportunity. And based off the position that they've got, as long as John can hold out this angle, it is going to halt the push from Toronto. However, he gets found out. Cammy finds one onto Gravity. And now Jimbo once more called upon to try and be the one piece to hold them back. Toronto do flip spawns for the next. But at the very least for Paris, they have net themselves back a chance into this series. And take a look at the positioning now from John, trying to make a play on the flank.
This is a massive position from John because Toronto Ultra, they have controlled these spawns and they've been able to control this P2 with it. Now with Paris Legion only down by 30, they have turned this game completely around. They're going to be set up with the spawns. Now they can just soak up some time. They just have to hold this initial push from Toronto Ultra coming in from front plat. Temp finds the first, Gravity finds the second.
Okay.
Now Paris Legion, they should be able to breach that 200-point mark.
It looks likely. It looks possible. Gravity. Oh my goodness. What a great shot there on the Cleanex. As the nades come through, Bance tosses one from afar. That'll be a quick 3 down. And overall, a positive right now for Toronto. Temp gonna do whatever he can to try to pick up the pieces as Ultra explode right now into the field. 10 seconds left as they have finally awoken. They have finally started to pick up from their earlier bit of progress. 7 more seconds. They can still win it here. Paris, they've got to contest. They've also got to think about the rotation. Cammy turns, a 40 bomb hit, and a W in the books once more for Toronto as they come out in a commanding way. Let the game go a little bit toward the end, but overall a W they can be proud of as they answer first on Bocage.
Yeah, Toronto Ultra, they were just in control from start to finish of that hard point. Like you said, it got a little scary towards the end, but all they needed to do was execute that one break onto P2, flip those spawns, and then and Paris Legion just way too far from that point to even try to contest it. Great game coming in from Cammy, gives up 40 kills on that map number 1. That is massive, massive coming in from your flex player. He's probably saying, play with Scrappy last week. Let me take a page out of his book and speed up my pace. And so far, showed on that map number 1. Now Toronto Ultra are in complete control of this series because if you remember the last time these two teams match up, it was Paris Legion who took the opening hard point, took the map 4, and then took the map 5. So now with Toronto Ultra definitely showing improvements in their hard point, all they have to do is lock up the search and destroy, and then they're going into a Berlin control where Paris Legion have not found success. So Toronto Ultra answering early into this series.
Yeah, and that now is going to make it 5-2 in hard points at our Major III qualifiers for Toronto. I mean,
massive.
At one point, Jay, this team was 2-18. They had a 2-18 stretch in hard point coming into the Pro-Am. There were so many conversations about, hey, you know, they're going to be making a roster change going into that tournament. Obviously, they do not, and so far, they have seen success since that very moment. I mean, has there been something in particular? Has it been a player? Has it been a play style, a pace type of thing for you that has made Toronto's come around in hardpoint that much more interesting?
I definitely think it's a team just overall in general. They started to understand of how they want to attack these hard points, because when you think of the Toronto Ultra, especially last year, what they were so good at was like setting up properly and then holding all these cuts to hold down these hard points. But when you're not winning your rotations, that is when you really struggled. So Toronto Ultra started winning their rotation fights, started getting great holds off the rotations, which sets them up properly to set up and get full 60 holds on some of these hills. That's where the Toronto Ultra teamwork really shines, is when they're properly going to be able to set up. And so far throughout the second half of this season, they have been stepping up tremendously in this mode.
Yeah, feels like I said, individual players, everybody's really been stepping up, as we see Cammy, a guy who has absolutely leveled up the game. It feels like in Major 3 at the Pro-Am. He has been excellent. Goes 41-32 before hitting the deck at the field, but ultimately it gave Toronto that little bit of oomph that they needed to come over the finish line. As like we said, they called Bocage theirs. And now looking ahead, Jay, the Tuscan search to destroy. I mean, when we talk about Paris lately, S&D has not been their mode. If you know Toronto Ultra, it feels like this has been their game ever since this roster formed back in Cold War. What can you tell me though about this game too?
So Paris Legion, this is going to be statistically their best search and destroy map. When they are attacking on this map, at least on the offensive side, they find their most success at that A site. 41% win rate when they're attacking that A bomb. And then usually when they're attacking that A bomb, they are 41% in first blood percentage as well. So that's going to be massive for them. But for Toronto Ultra, this is where it gets kind of scary, because Toronto Ultra are 70% on their A pushes, but an 84% first blood win rate. So if they're attacking A fast, they're most likely going to find that first blood and be able to close out this round. So this needs to be the map where Paris Legion have to answer, or this is going to be a quick 3-0. Best search and destroy. This is where you need to at least tie the series up at 1 apiece.
Yeah, it's the mode that you're going to have to rely on when it comes in a series like this. And, you know, how often do we talk about teams that are, you know, more in the bottom level of the standings? Oftentimes they have to be those search destroy rosters, be those 2-3-5, those Neslo style type of players, if you will, or rather those teams, if you will, when it comes down to taking down solid rosters like Toronto Ultra on the other side. Like you said, a great search destroy up next for them. I mean, we talk about S&D, I feel like the story remains the same. It's the ARs playing well, the SMGs dropping the ball. Is there anybody specifically though in Paris that you look forward to in this S&D to turn up, no matter who it is?
I'm looking at Jimbo. Jimbo so far, at least in that map number 1, he's playing with a lot of confidence. You heard Ali say it. It's either he's playing with confidence and playing really well, or he's just completely getting smoked in the blender. And so far, at least he answers in that map number 1. So on a map like Tuscan, you know how ratty you can be with your SMGs, taking control of mid-map, taking control of Fountain, and then also pushing towards inner use. So I'm really looking at Jimbo to be that playmaker on this team for Paris Legion to try to get this dub here.
Without a doubt, my friend, we'll be looking at Jimbo heavily coming into this next S&D. And speaking of this S&D, let's take a look at some more detailed stats when it comes down to both of these rosters on to Tuscan. So you see the records there, 7-4 for Toronto, 5-1 for Paris. But take a look at some of these. What you got, a 4v3 win percentage, number 1 for Paris. They're number 1 in defensive win percentage. On the other side for Toronto, Jay, they really struggle in first bloods. They're like one of the worst teams in first bloods. They are first on Tuscan, number 2 on offense. So we have number 2 on offense versus number 1 on defense. That tells me this Tuscan should be entertaining.
Yeah, this is going to be a battle between both of these teams, man. And when you think about the players who really stand out on this map specifically, it's going to be the ARs for both of these squads. You have Temp and Gravity, who are both sitting at a 1.3 overall on this map specifically. And then on the opposite side, it's Insight. Insight also has a 1.3. But every time, like I say, when we are casting over Insight, the reason why his S&D KD is so insane is because he clutches 1v2s and 1v3s like it's easy. Like, the guy is just a really good search and destroy player. Now he's feeling a lot better, back on the roster, already up 1-0 in this series. Looking at that young man for the side of Toronto Ultra to really be the primary guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It was, I think, Seattle that he had that crazy 1v2 to like close out a 6-0 performance. So, you know, more than lately, Toronto, you've seen some success on Tuscan Search Destroy. This is going to be their second time playing it here at our Major III qualifiers. And there you see the stats so far throughout the series. Map 1 Bocage treated the boys of Ultra quite nicely. More specifically, good old Cammy, a 1.28 coming into this. Jimbo also having a great performance. And Jay, you have said that Jimbo is your guy to look out for when he is playing confident. Paris do see success. And hey, well, it was a slow start to that Bocage. They absolutely began to wake up as the map progressed. But here we go into Tuscan S&D to kick off this game number 2. Paris will be starting things off on the attacking side in a more interesting offense for Paris. They quickly back up, and it looked like it was a smart call from Gravity. Thankfully for Kleenex, he managed to stay alive despite the heads-up play from the Røkkr.
Yeah, Toronto Ultra coming out hot to start this S&D. Took map control right away from Paris Legion, basically trapped them in their spawn. So now Paris Legion, their only play is, now with the information that Gravity does pick up that there's multiple players pushed out towards back binds, is that you have to try to take this bomb through B. 45 seconds left. It's going to be on Insight to at least give the information to his team.
They've got a great crossfire set up. Cammy from one side, Insight on the other. In Paris, they've got a decision to make. Do they want to try to hit this? Or will it in fact be a rotation? Bance gonna try to clear them out. Is he gonna get the visuals on the temp? He will not. Quickly, 2 players fall from Toronto. Insight and Kleenex now left alive in what is now a quick 1v4. Insight takes down John in the meantime. And all things considered, he's got himself a decent perspective at this fight. A few shots through the bookshelf as he's constantly aware that somebody could be flanking him. But like we said, Jay, he's prone to put to spots like this. A 1v3 from Insight. Could it be here? Could it be now?
Oh my!
2 and quickly backs up. Oh, Temp is there to drop him. Jay, was that almost a 1v4?
Yeah, it was like almost right under the good
goodness.
time. Like Insight picks up the first kill when his teammates drop, but I'm telling you, in the back of my mind, the entire round, I'm thinking he still has the ability to clutch this. But when he finds these first 2 kills, unbelievable shots from Insight to take down Gravity and Jimbo. Temp knows. Temp said, no, we cannot let this guy get away from us. We have to full send it in towards bottom church. He eventually finds that first kill on Paris Legion. Take the first round.
Is there anything specific that Insight does, like to always give himself a good spot? Patience?
So patient. He just catches you off guard. Like 1v3, you're expecting the guy to just fly out, probably play for a kill. But when he just takes his time, slowly picking you guys apart, that is when he finds a lot of success.
Patience indeed. This round has not exactly been that way as Jimbo fires out of P5, shuts down Bance. Looked like it was Toronto that saw the early success. I think it was the first blood for them, and ever since, Paris has picked up Bance, picked up Kleenex, and now they've got themselves in the more favorable position. Bomb down, over and fire, and now it's up to Cammy and Insight. Well, Insight, we saw him do it last time. Now he's got at least a buddy to do it with. 2v3 for Toronto.
Oh, okay, but Insight, he gets taken down by Gravity. So now Cammy in the 1v3, he's going to get spotted by Jimbo, and Jimbo's just going to commit towards the gunfight. Beautiful work from Paris Legion to answer on their defensive round. You saw Toronto Ultra take full control of that A site. This time, Paris Legion completely switch it up. They attack everyone through P5. Jimbo comes out on top, winning the trade, finding that first 2-piece, and then eventually finds the third to close out the round. This is why Paris Legion, this is their best search and destroy, and so far they're showing it early.
And we talked about it. You want to see a confident Jimbo, and that play in particular where he jumps out of fire is the definition of the man who's feeling confident. Great performance on the Bocage despite the loss, and now leads his team in a 3-1 start to this search destroy. Paris up 2-0. Is Toronto in need of a reply? Nades tossed about. His Insight will be able to shut down John. Oh, and also finds one there on the temp. So a quick 2v4 for Paris. It looks like it should be the first opportunity for Toronto to get one on the board for them. They've got a somewhat spread attack to face off against now as Jimbo nearly hits a beamer.
Yeah, Jimbo with some great shots. Unfortunately, not able to pick up the kill. So now in the 4v2, Jimbo's going to try to make a play through P5. Cammy does get that sound cue in his ear that someone is in that position. But just the map control right now that Toronto Ultra have in a 4v2 situation. If Cammy drops, then that's going to be the opening for Paris Legion. They try to find this kill, and Gravity finds the first on the Bance.
Or rather, are Toronto going to take the bait? Are they going to make the rotation? Are they going to stay put? Flare Rate and Jimbo involved in the engagement, and once more it is Insight that comes out on top. What a round it has been for this guy. Is now Gravity. The all to do, 10 seconds left. I imagine it's not going to be possible, and there you go. A round and a half out of Insight, getting the Toronto boys on the board.
Yeah, the way that Toronto Ultra are playing on their defense is great communication, great teamwork. They set up that team name to open up that first blood, and then Insight with great shots to immediately turn it into a 4v2. But their defenses have been really aggressive. They're basically forcing all of Paris Legion to basically slow down in their spawn for like a minute and then try to make a play. They take full control of right side field, and then they're basically having one person who's sitting in towards that P5 area. And I know I said basically a lot, but that's just a great setup for Toronto Ultra, just taking that initiative to start off with that early aggression.
As we said, first blood's not a strong suit for Toronto. You wouldn't know that based on these last few rounds, and this one in particular. Cammy strikes first there on a Tom Gravity. Paris desperately wants some control in Command Center. It's called Command Center for a reason. You want to have some control as 90 Temp looks to bring out the bad boy. Does not see the mid-map rotation, however, from the Ultra. Somewhat caught off guard. Puts some tags into Bance. Does not decide to toss the nade out. In fact, throws the stun first. So that being the case, everybody starts to fall by the wayside. Jimbo, a quick 1v4, wiped away. And just like that, Toronto rifle their way back into this S&D.
And that's their fast A push right there. First blood at 82%. They found it in towards P5. They immediately cut through middle fountain. And Temp with the sniper in his hands. Like, if he has that automaton pre-aiming, he could probably see everyone in front of his screen going towards that A bomb. But he was pre-aimed with that sniper, not able to give the information to his team. Toronto Ultra. Very, very quick offensive round to tie this up at 2 apiece.
What a great start it's been for Insight as well. The guy who, it would make perfect sense, Jay, if he has a little bit of a slow performance. Like we said, some food poisoning in that last game. Doesn't play for the Ultra. Starting things off at 7-2. This is his playground. Tuscan search destroy. As he has made Paris work, made Paris pay. In these last few rounds on a 4 streak right. Now for the moment is Cammy. Great little angle toward bottom fire. Could be a flank in progress soon. Toronto on the retake.
Paris Legion do not, they're leaving openings. Like, you can leave the flank wide on open, and that's the way the Toronto Ultra are going to capitalize. They send 2 people through middle U. They find that early 2-piece, so now in the 3-2, make it a 3-1. It's all going to be on Gravity watching that late flank, and he gets taken down. Right there, that was just miscommunication for Paris Legion. Like, someone's got to be able to watch your back alley. You had 3 players posted up at that A site. Gravity trying to watch multiple things, late flank through P5, bottom middle, like a lot of stuff on his plate for him to try to handle right there. Toronto Ultra execute perfectly by just breaking that through the middle of the map, finding that early 2-piece, and then in the 3v2, they take down Jimbo. Last player's playing the safety net in towards top fire. Great retake from Toronto Ultra in the 4v4.
Yeah, so you can tell, like, from Gammy's perspective, he's like, okay, well, I guess middle's open. If somebody wants to join alongside of me, I guess we could take a whack at it. And obviously it works out. And you, put that on top of some miscommunication, on top of losing some first bloods. Instantly could tell why Toronto have brought themselves back in the search destroy. That is 3 straight, and overall a 9-team spree for Toronto. These have not just been rounds, but dominant rounds at that. As Cammy, oh my goodness, an excellent shot there on the John. A heat check, if you will, as we've got a few players nearing ever closer to some streaks. As Bance does get wiped away, Jimbo turns around at the worst time possible. One more for Cammy, and it's a glide bomb. Same thing could be said for Insight soon. As Gravity tagged up, but thankfully not bagged just as of yet. There we have it. Another nade from Insight, as now it is Temp and a 1v2. Sniper ready.
Sniper's ready. Not if you're the Ultra. Don't want to give him at least a free kill. They're going to at least get that information that he rotates it towards bottom church. And now you're going to work this bomb panel immediately. If you're Temp, you can get great timing if you can just rush right through the middle of the map. But they're going to be able to get that bomb down. They know his position. They have everything cut off. Doesn't get any information with that nade. Does spot one, but the double challenge should come in. He's just finessing right now, making it so difficult for Temp. Like, slide back, slide forward. Like, it's not going to be easy for Temp to clutch it out. But that's going to be Toronto Ultra. 4 straight rounds to now go up 4-2.
You know, I'm not sure if Insight is on. I
don't think he died.
6.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's on 6.
Okay, so is that Cammy and Insight both on 6? The 2 players who were on the streaks? We'll find out as we head into this round. Like I said, it's like we said, it's been dominant rounds. And the ARs who have been so well seasoned on Tuscan doing it again. So yeah, the two players who had to stay alive do exactly that. They both find a kill, Jay, and Paris not only going to have to have a deficit to worry about, but maybe 2 glide bombs as well. That would be terrifying considering the way that this series is going right now.
You see just the early aggression from Toronto Ultra has Paris Legion playing stagnant and very slow in their spawn. They're thinking that they're going to be super aggressive in towards every round, which is just allowing Phoenix to free roam. Even though he does get taken down, he still gives that information to his team that they're playing this slow. We can take our time. Cammy and Insight just try to work for 1 kill on the glide bomb, and this round should be theirs. Just the way that Paris Legion are playing is looking very scary right now. 45 seconds left to work with.
See what the call is. Everybody basically is gyrating throughout well. Gonna have to make a call. Jimbo with the bomb in his back. Thought for a moment was gonna go for the instant plant on to A. However, he's checking over toward field. About to get an engagement with Insight. Loses that, so at least 1 glide bomb out of the picture for Paris. A current 3 versus 2. And thankfully your bomb carrier did stay alive in that moment. If not, that could have been what defines a possible 5th round in a row for Toronto. This bomb has been relocated, but Bance takes him off of it. Great opportunity for him as he'll look to try to find the timing. Nearly hits the beamer on the tip. Round the corner goes Cammy, stays alive. Oh, it's beautiful from Cammy. A quick little 1v2 hits the turn on to temp and will also put in the defuse. Glide bomb earned, and Toronto keeping up that streak. Now 5 in a row.
Such a beautiful read coming in from Cammy. He knows that the player has to commit towards the bomb plant. Even though he does get it down, his teammate just died to temp in towards top radio. So it's all about turning and just trying to use your reaction time to win that gunfight. He does it perfectly to close out that 2v1 for Toronto Ultra. 5 straight rounds in this search and destroy. Puts them at game point, and Cammy earns that glide bomb. What a play. So far, what a series from the Cam Man.
We talk about COD terms explained. That is the definition of a turn on, folks. But there we have it. Paris, very much emphasizing the importance of this round as they just rifle through 3 very, very quickly. And Insight did not earn the glide bomb, still with a very impressive stat line at 10 and 3. We'll see if he can make it. Some chopsticks, possibly, Jay.
He can definitely do it. 1v3. That's how you see Paris Legion. They're just sitting corners. They do not want to give this guy any one-on-one engagements. He is going to get spotted in towards Church. Gravity able to win the gunfight, and that's a great round from Paris Legion. They know that Cammy has that glide bomb. They're probably going to try to set up around that to work towards the A plant. They put a lot of aggression in towards that P5, come out on top of the engagements. Then Insight in the 1v3 gets taken down by Gravity. So Paris Legion stay alive a little longer, but now they're going back on the attack, and this is where it gets scary. Early aggression from Toronto Ultra have these guys playing in their spawn, but now Toronto Ultra have a glide bomb to work with. So if you're Paris Legion, strap on your cold-blooded and keep on the aggression.
Keep on the aggression, but no. When that aggression has to come in, pacing going to be important. His Insight will watch Kleenex fly through you, catches a few stragglers, trying to make their way inside of Church. Not going to happen. John dropped. And just like that, Paris instantly look to try to back on up and at least watch each other's corners. Kleenex says he does stay alive, at least sees where that stun's going to come from. So knows that somebody lingering bottom Church, as long as he stays alive, it gives his teammates all the information that they need. They've got 2 on the outside of P5, ready to go. Jimbo lined up, dropped, and now it is Temp all alone. And there you have it, Toronto. Another solid game as they come out and walk away with Tuscan search and destroy. And what was that, like 6 out of the last 7 rounds?
Yep. That was clean from Toronto Ultra, man. Tone setter to start this S&D was that early aggression on defense. You saw the way on every single offense, Paris Legion were wasting about a minute on the clock before they found that first blood or even tried to work towards a bomb plant. Toronto Ultra made that one look easy. Followed by the performances of Insight and Cammy. Cammy doesn't even need the glide bomb to close out that search and destroy. Paris Legion just really struggled on their early attacks. That's what really just set up Toronto Ultra to to close out this map the way that they did. Aggression, aggression, aggression on the defensive side. Kept Paris Legion in their base every single offense for about a minute. And then when you get to the later half of the game, now you have to start worrying about that glide bomb. Just a lot of stuff for Paris Legion to try to take care of. Wasn't enough to get the job done. Toronto Ultra now take a commanding 2-0 lead in this series with Control Berlin in their back pocket. Oh, this is probably a 3-0, Lando.
Yeah, it's already looking very, very nerve-wracking if you are a Paris fan. And like you said, man, it was a solid performance from Insight and Cammy. We talked about, Toronto coming into this, the back and forth stats of one team being great on defense, the other being great on offense. Toronto shows that in spades. They're also the #1 team in First Bloods. They go 7 for 9 in First Bloods, obviously with a 6-3 victory on the scorecard there. And I don't know, man, it's a difficult story to write if you're Paris. I mean, it's not an easy ask for them to have to make the comeback on this next Berlin Control. Yeah. But like we said, when it comes down to a team being more in the bottom of the barrel, you got to rely on these excess modes. You got to take search destroys. You got to rely on one of those respawns. And while it has not been a W yet, who knows? It could be possible here. I'm trying my best, Paris fans. I'm doing my best to try to sell this one the best way possible. But as you said, buddy, it's looking great right now for Ultra. One more W, and they officially do secure their spot in the winners bracket going into their very own major. We'll see if they can do it in a nice little sweep, or Paris will make them work for it. Regardless, folks, we come back after the break, and it's time for Berlin Control.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Zenny. Armor your eyes with Block's gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Game Fuel. Victory in a can. Upgrade your game with a Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League.
Alrighty, folks, it's time to take a look at the Scuff play of the game. And if you just missed it, well, here is your opportunity to look at a play that I have a feeling we're going to be taking a look at quite a bit more throughout the season. A nice little 1v2 out of the cam, man. Jay, lovely, lovely stuff from that guy there.
He just read it beautifully because, you know, there was only like 10 to 15 seconds left on that game clock. When his teammates takes down that initial player planting that bomb, now it's only 10 seconds to work with. So someone on Paris Legion has to commit towards that bomb plant. Even though the bomb does get planted, Cammy knows my teammate just died TJHaly. I'm going to get this guy off bomb. Even if it's planted, you're going to have Temp that's going to try to be aggressive in towards top. Radio flies right on out and reads it beautifully into 1v2 to close out that search and destroy. Now puts them up 2-0. And now you're going into a Berlin control where you're going to have Toronto Ultra overall record sitting at 3-1 and Paris Legion 0-2. So this is not good. For Paris Legion, it's one thing for me. John needs to step up, but then also Jimbo needs to continue to play at the level that he does, because on this match specifically, you're going to have Jimbo sitting at a 0.57 and then John at a 0.75. And then for them also, they also have Gravity who's a 1.3. So I'm looking at the SMGs to really step up from Paris Legion and try to contest Toronto. But just the way that Cammy is playing, like I said, took a page out of Scrappy's book. 1.46 so far in this series. Here we go, Toronto on defense.
Toronto on defense, and you know the reason why we have to talk about stats like this is honestly, Jay, as well, because of, like, the map veto situation, like Paris, because they struggle so much at Tuscan, they then have to give the Toronto Ultra Boys a map that they absolutely love. This is the only control map that they have won, even since Pro-Am. Since Berlin has been added to the rotation, this is the only control map that they have been able to take, as it is an all-out brawl over at that B zone to kick off this round number 1, in which Paris will be taking the attacking hat off the start. Nades tossed aplenty. That could give John an opportunity to put into sync 3. Simp is there for the ultimate tray, as now 48 seconds left. Somebody from Paris is going to make a move. Nobody, at least on that mini map, is going to be close to that A zone. One off spawn very well could venture over there, but Toronto holding well to kick off this defense. It looked like a moment, maybe a little light of opportunity for Paris. As Temp, oh my gosh, really just looks at Bance straight in the eyes. A very scary character to look at, as that will instantly put Paris over at the other side of the map.
And now only 30 seconds left. Paris Legion have to commit towards taking this A progression. You have everyone spawning towards that boat side, but Toronto Ultra, they're not going to try to give this one up easy. They still have multiple players trying to cut them off. Now it's Cammy's turn. He's not going to be able to take down one, so falls into Bance's hands now. Bance takes down the first, he takes down the second, and that should be able to relieve some pressure, allow his teammates to commit towards this push.
Yeah, it gives them a reason. It gives them a hope to try to push back into this, and so far it has worked out well. Kleenex putting instant pressure onto the spawns. As John handles business, Legion once more will be able to stop that clock. 9.9 to work with, and really one more tick to go for Paris to have a little bit of a chance, but Cammy strikes on through the back, and here comes Bance as well, tries to combine for 2, and now it leads it to a 1v1. Kleenex wipes away Jimbo as he instantly pushes out. Can anybody from Paris get to the objective in time? And they will. 0.8. Cammy is here. Cammy nearly clutches out another 1v2, but thankfully John off to a great start, has that 40 firing, and while the nade will take him out, at the very least Paris can be content. They've got those 3 ticks. Now they've got 50 seconds to work with still.
Yeah, and they're still only down by 1 life as well. So respawns are not going to be good for both of these squads. Is Paris Legion trying to set up the play to try to break into this B point? Just the way the Toronto Ultra are playing, keeping so many lines of defense and multiple different angles. That's going to be a clean 3 dead. No more spawns coming off for the Paris Legion. Toronto Ultra just have full-on map control. Paris Legion need to try to get out of their base, but this allows Bance to set up on that late flank. Finds that first kill. Some great shots onto Gravity, not able to pick it up. Whew. This is going to be a Toronto Ultra defensive win.
It looks to be that way. Cammy, say the one player who could turn that around, thought the few were going through middle. Now an instant 2 versus 5. Now one more player left. Pistol is in, and Cammy will take the final player down. It got a little scary, Jay. They were investing a lot of those defensive lives over at that A zone, but obviously the strategy ends up working out in the end. They at least get a decent attempt to try to take him down. Well, it doesn't work out. That minor life advantage comes into play. And with that, they've got themselves the first round on the board. And now a look at their first opportunity on attack.
Yeah, Paris Legion in that first round, they were just wasting a lot of time trying to commit towards that B point for like a minute into the game. Even though they did complete that A capture eventually, just not enough time to close out that round number 1. So Toronto Ultra gonna do the easy job first. They're gonna try to take control of A, extend this time by a minute, and play for the cutoff kills, because you know Paris Legion are gonna try to play for that train control as Cleanex makes his way through the middle of the map, finds the snap onto John, and should be able to pick up the third onto Gravity as well. Cleanex answering into this round.
And Gravity knew. Gravity literally saw him. He knew he was coming to the train station, but my goodness. That was unbelievable work out of Cleanex. Just fires right through the train station and takes a few down with him. Just the excellent work from these Toronto SMGs have been a pain so far throughout this Berlin. Cammy with the pistol, not able to shut down Jimbo, as the overarching trade still favored the way of Toronto. But Temp, the boys from Paris, trying to get these guys in somewhat of a spawn trap. Know that somebody still has to be around that A zone, but a great opportunity for Legion. The longer they hold them back, the better chance that they have of winning this round and slowing down what could be some of that tick progress.
Yeah, but Toronto are able to find 2 kills. You had one player, Bance, who was pushed out in their opponent's base the entire time, just waiting to get the timing on when he wanted to attack. As the second tick is going to come in, you're going to have Jimbo trying to contest this. Can you make yourself through the window? No, you cannot, my friend. And that's going to be Cleanex making you pay with the 2-piece in the feed. This should allow Toronto Ultra to close out this 8 point. You already see Bance trying to at least sneak his way into secret. He's actually going to juke out his opponents. This is a great play from Bance if he can try to get a greater position.
Looks as if he might have stunned him. So Gravity looking through. Oh, it's Gravity. Don't tell me Gravity's gonna get you. Please don't let this happen again. Don't let it happen again. At first it was Cleanex, now it's Bance. Toronto parading around this B zone as 3 fall instantly, make it 4 down. Insight is starting to take them down from the spawn, and watch that zone begin to fly. A Paris smoothie indeed, as they run right into the blender. And just like that, 2 rounds up and 2 rounds down. Toronto in the driver's seat, 1 round away from a guaranteed winner spot at their major.
And look at these shots from Cleanex. It's the reaction on that to turn onto John and then find the kill onto Gravity, even if he knew you were coming around that corner. Cleanex makes the play, and he also makes the play to close out that round. I'm pretty sure he works his way up through back alley, finds a 3-piece, while Bance finds that first to execute a clean 4 dead. Then you stack the point. Toronto Ultra looking way too strong on barrel control to start. Already up 2-0.
Already up 2-0, and right now Paris finding themselves in a difficult spot. Down 0-2 in the series, down 0-2 in the control. It's going to need to be some fiery comms. It's going to need to somebody giving an inspiring speech. Let's find out how that communication is sounding with a listening on Paris.
Window on you, one dock door. You win window. I'm looking in. Plant behind you.
Dock's door dead.
There, nice, good shit.
Nice.
I don't see top tower.
Top P5, I think. Top P5.
I'm close.
Top P5, going S2. Dead.
Nice, go in.
That was in our tower.
You one's watching.
I'm going top 3.
Cammy's in the back. 1 shot.
He's still back dirt. Still back dirt.
No, one touch that. Catwalk. Yo, we need to push you right. We need to do it.
Cat, 1 bullet.
One holding dock straight.
Cat dead.
Nice, good shit.
Look for dirt kid.
Where was he, Brian?
He was dock.
One dub steps.
Still outer dirt dead. I killed the dirt
Dub
kid.
steps.
I'm on a 5.
Yeah, I'm pushing docks right now.
Dub steps dead.
I'm gonna try and play
Secret. Last guy, middle. He's middle.
Man, it's dead.
Nice.
I'm one off streaks.
It should be in their spawn,
No,
P3.
outer. I'm gonna die. Hold on,
Amy's one trying to spawn.
Nice.
I wanna help.
Hold on.
Don't try to double me. I'm
Can we
one
get
shot
on
off
B?
streaks.
Can we get on B? Alright, just play your kills.
I'm close in the corner. Hold on. I'm one off streaks.
One is hit low fire. One shot Cammy.
Your secret.
The dub push out.
Dead.
Hold on,
I got
I'm
one.
fire.
Dub. 2 fire, 1 dub. 2 dub. One more dub.
Alright, one can come P5.
Window on me. Vance, weak. Desk. Push out
One
desk.
front desk. Hurt close hill.
Behind you. Nice.
I got him.
And the comms are great on the side of Paris Legion. The only thing is, they're picking up a lot of these kills. No one is just hopping the point. Like, you even heard John say, someone hop on the point, all right, forget it, so just play your kills. Like, that is a frustrating situation right there for Paris Legion, because they found 3 kills in the feed, all pushed out towards fire, but then you have everyone still playing for those spawn kills. So definitely some miscommunication on the side of Paris Legion. Allow Toronto Ultra to take that map control right on back. You have one player you have to focus on who's coming on the flank, but they have full train control already with a minute left.
And the only little problem there is that Gravity calls in the glide bomb, right? Has the play lined up, takes down one of his teammates. So with that, see what Paris can do despite the accidental team kill. As we said, comms communication has been the issue for Paris. Just a few moments, few minute details that have not been on the mark. As just like that, Toronto take down 3 straight in the feed as Paris continue to cycle their way in through this street side. Clunex does get wiped away, so Paris, I do have that conga line forming. Hopefully they're not about to dance their way out of this series, because it could be likely as Insight drops 2 in a moment's notice. Jimbo, the sole lifeline, as he and Gravity, hand in hand, sit alongside each other in fire for what could be the final play, for what could be the final moment of this series. Paris not down in lives, but it doesn't ultimately matter. Some play has got to work out. Some call has got to formulate into something as they all begin to hit the deck. Gravity misses the jump, and that will be a 3-0 in the control and a 3-0 sweep in the series.
Yeah, Toronto Ultra, they came out to play today in full control of that map, number 1, from start to finish. And then even in the search and destroy, taking a team like Paris Legion on their best search and destroy map, you go down in the first early 2 rounds, but then you go answer back with 5 straight rounds. Cammy and Insight really took off. And then they find themselves on a Berlin control where they have seen a lot of success. Like you said, they haven't been able to win Gavutu. They haven't been able to win Tuscan. But ever since this map has been added to the rotation,
they can win this
is where they find a lot of success. Now puts them at overall 4-1 on this map. They just came out and dominated this series. On the side of Paris Legion, slow start from John, at least in the first 2 maps. But then on this map, number 3, their game plan was terrible. Like, it was horrific. Like, we play rank play all the time, man. We know that you have to wrap back towards that train side and not try to commit to playing every single spawn kill onto the players coming out of fire. Paris Legion, their game plan was just horrific on that map, number 3. Shuts them down now in a 3-0 fashion. And I don't know, man. Paris Legion, once again, another stage where they go 0-5. They're gonna have dead last seed going into the major. I just don't see the way that they can turn this around without a roster change. Just not clicking for this team. You can just tell by their gameplay, the teamwork is not there. One person goes off, one person is double negative. Just not clicking right now for Paris Legion, and Toronto Ultra were able to capitalize on it.
And that's the one thing too, Jay, that ultimately frustrates you, is that you walk away with the series. It wasn't because you got dominantly outslayed. Obviously you did, but it's the way that you got outslayed. It's because, like you said, of that miscommunication, just plays things that just were not in sync. I mean, the amount of times that we saw them lose spawns on Bocage, like we said, the weird rounds on Tuscan Search Destroy, where they're leaving the middle side of the map open. And then, as you said, little moments right there in that Berlin control where everybody's doing the same thing. They finally earn a streak, and unfortunately somebody gets taken down with it. It's not as if Paris, aren't like getting massively destroyed when it comes down to slaying. There are certain players that are dominant. It's just, like I said, the overall game plan that just does not seem to be there still. And I just said, another qualifier where they are yet to get a W. Only 1 online win this season in Vanguard. Obviously, we'll see how they play when it comes down to the Toronto Major, buddy. What's up?
And it was versus this squad too.
That's right.
Their only online win is versus Toronto Ultra all the way into game 5. But they came back. They came into this series and said, all right, we're going to play you on the same exact hard points. We're going to take your best search and destroy from you. And this is where I see Toronto Ultra, even though they're playing a weaker opponent in Paris Legion, just making drastic improvements. Like you said on that map, number 1, in control of the spawns from start to finish. Beautiful execution on the way that they were holding down a bunch of these hard points. And in that search and destroy, communication for them was on point. They find an opening, everyone attacks it, and they find success there. And then in the Berlin control, this is where you allow your SMGs to be playmakers. Bance finessing his way around the back, Clunex finding a 3-piece left and right. Like, Toronto Ultra are looking back on prime form.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And it's also another opportunity, right, where you do look at that matchup that these guys have at the Major II qualifiers. If you're Toronto, we're like, hey, we lost this in a game 5. Now we're beating these guys 3-0 on the flip side for Paris, that has to tell you a lot, right? The one W that you have versus this team, you just got 3-0 smacked around by these guys. But like we said, Toronto Major is still upon us, and now the Ultra have got that third victory that they've been so desperately looking to grab. A very quick series as we bring back in the desk. Guys, I feel like we just saw you like 5 minutes ago, but here we are, 3-0 for Toronto. How do you guys feel about that one?
It was interesting. You know, in the year 2020, it was a hot summer in New Jersey, right? Me and my ex, we got into a big argument. And I said, what are we? She said Paris Legion. That's when I knew we were over.
Oh my God.
Toronto Ultra 3-0.
Yeah, I will say, like, when we watch some teams make mistakes, we have to be really precise. It's like little things that happen wrong for them to lose games. With Paris, it's these glaring fundamental issues. I mean, we saw it in the search and destroy round. They get bombed down A, and then they really just don't look at mid-map at all. You have to make a decision there. You're going to get surrounded and collapsed on by a good search and destroy team like Toronto, and you're going to lose the round, which is what happened. You have to either push out one way, or you have to help the guy that's mid-map. There's multiple different rounds where we saw Paris try to push through mid as well, when nobody's swinging and try to kill the guy on the bomb site. Like, they have massive things to work on.
Yeah.
In that control, like, they're setting up for the spawn trap and fire, right, on their offense. But what do we see teams do? They wrap around, they get kills, they hop the point, they stack it, and they spawn kill. Well, they're not even aware of, like, the spawn that's happening. Multiple times, players are spawning in front mid-fire and wrapping out without the players on Paris even knowing where they're at. So the knowledge of the control spawns aren't even there as well. Like, it leads me to beg the question, like, are they even watching the film and, like, taking the notes, or have they given up? We don't know. We're not in their camp, but they have so much to work on.
I think it was definitely a little bit of a mental thing, for sure, for them. I feel like after they lost that boat cage, even when we went to player cams, like, and listened to comms, like, across the board, I feel like it might be a mental at this point from having to lose in the way that they are losing so many times, but it also has to do with the inconsistent SMGs. I talked about it going into the series. John and Jimbo, it's like they're hot potatoing on who's going off and who's getting put in the blender. And for me, honestly, I would almost prefer having Jimbo. You just have to find somebody to be consistent next to him. On the likes of Toronto Ultra, right? Kleenex has Bance. You know what you're going to get out of Bance. And like Seattle Surge, Pred has Mack. You know what you're going to get out of Mack. Vivid has Awakening. Like, they have this consistency in that duo where even if your aggressive SMG gets put in a blender, you have the consistency in your other SMG that's being a route man, that's being annoying to still keep yourself in the game. Where Paris, both SMGs, it's either you're getting super hot fried or I'm getting super hot fried, and we're both just bashing our heads to the front.
In a way, we kind of do know what we're going to get with Paris Legion. There's a machine gun duo, but also we have a game fuel victory spotlight with the one and only Cammy. Let's get him on board after a nice big 3-0 win. We didn't say too much about you guys right there talking about Paris, but Cammy, first off, how you doing? My question is, though, with that win with Scrappy that you guys had last week against the New York Subliners, did you guys as a team, as a unit, pick up things that will help you all in the future with play style and just being better overall?
Yeah, no, it was definitely good playing with Scrap for the last week. He definitely taught us some just little, like, minor things, like little rotation things in setups on different maps, I'd say. Not the ones we played today, but yeah, he definitely helped us for last week, and obviously it was a nice win, so I'm feeling good.
Congratulations, Cammy. A little bit of a two-part question here of, do you feel like you're hitting form? Because, I mean, you have a 1.33 overall in this series. That 1v2 clutch with the defuse was just literally disgusting. We saw smiles all across the boards, and the respawns, you were doing your thing. Do you feel like you're finally hitting a bit of last year's form? And as well, a side part, Insight having sat out, being, you know, kind of on the bench for that one game with being sick. When he came back in, did he bring anything like, hey, guys, I noticed this while watching our gameplay, or I want to add this to our gameplay because I got to see what Scrappy was able to add to the roster?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I'm hitting form again. Obviously, I think I've been having a bit inconsistent series this year. I'd say I'm starting to turn it around a bit more and understand, like, my playstyle a bit more this game. And yeah, Jamie came back in. Obviously, you know what you get now, Jamie. Probably one of the most consistent ARs in the league, especially with his S&D. So it's unreal to be back playing with him again. And he's just like, playing with Scrappy, I had to play a bit slower, but then obviously bringing Jamie back in, he plays slow and lets me kind of roam around. So that was the main thing that I'm happy to have him back in.
Cammy, great series. You look great overall in that one, as well as the squad. I got to ask you, you guys have made the improvements in Hardpoint. Search and Destroy has sort of remained the same. But what we know of you guys throughout your time as a team is control. It's been dominant. Well, in this game, it's sort of been 50-50. And in this stage, you guys haven't been that great up until this series. So from your perspective and the team's perspective, what has been the main issue when it comes to control?
I think in control, I think we've just been, like, honestly mega trolling in the big scenarios. Like, I think the New York series, I remember Hydra got like it was like a 1v4, but it wasn't actually, it was like a 1v2, just like small little things like that. We just aren't really on top of it at the moment. It looked good that series. But I feel like, yeah, we've still got to go over a lot on control, just the minor things to help us close out the rounds, and we'll be spot on again on that.
Hey, Cammy, I know this is a pretty long interview, but the very last question, okay? With Major III being right around the corner, we're leaving next week, right? Do you have anything to say to the fans that are attending that are Toronto Ultra fans? And do you want them to be as loud as what we heard in Minnesota and Texas?
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, shout out all the fans. I'm excited. I'm so excited to play in front of the homestand. I'm pretty sure with that we've secured winners bracket as well. So it's a nice bit of stress lifted off us, and hopefully we can put on the show for everyone, and everyone's loud for us.
Let's get it, baby. All right, Cammy, great win. Thank you for the 3-0, by the way. You made our day a lot shorter, and we'll talk to you next time, all right?
Yeah, have a good one. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so for all of you beautiful people at home, you heard it from the man, Cammy himself. Get the tickets to go to Major III. We tell you guys every single day in Alley, Nameless, I don't think they hear us loud enough. Things are selling out right now, and the first 2 majors we had this year, they were just so dang fun, man.
Dude, we leave in 3 days. We leave in 3 days to go to this major. I want to see you all next week. Show out every major. It gets better and better and better. This is Major III of the season, and it's Toronto's homestand, and they just secured winners bracket, so it's going to be a good one.
And also, it's not just showing up to see the top CDL teams play. Go out there and challenge yourself by playing in challengers, okay? This is where basically we see the best just grow, period.
Yeah, I mean, it's where we breed the talent that makes it into our league. They've had so much success this season in the actual pro scene. So you got to go there and start at the ground level, like learn about these guys and see where their career goes. So I'm excited for the Passion Pit to see how these guys play.
This is Challengers year, by the way. But ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, oh, we got a banger, okay? The Florida Mutineers versus the Seattle Surge. Which version of these teams are we going to get? I don't know yet soon, but I can't wait to see. And hopefully they both bring it, because this is going to be a very big, high-powered matchup. We'll catch you guys on the other side of the break to continue on with some more Call of Duty action.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Zenny. Armor your eyes with Block's gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL.
I bet the game's gonna start in 5, 4, 3,
I just disappeared off
1,
screen.
0.
Oh, it's starting? Lit. Let's go.
You know what's good about this room? The lights don't just flicker off, dude.
Oh my god, dude. Do you think the hash slinging slasher was coming through? The hash slinging, the hash bringing.
How much caffeine is it?
I think it's like 200.
I would assume 200, and then the extra probably adds like another 100 or 50.
What number gets you cracked?
I don't know.
How much caffeine is in that little shot?
No, let me just scan the. I'm feeling the power come down to me. Oh!
If you're my true friend, what color are my eyes?
Okay, I just look at your brown.
Nope.
Yes, they are.
Nope.
Yes, they are.
No color, they're hazel. They're hazel.
Isn't that brown?
No.
It's like, nah, hazel's like multiple colors.
It
has green,
I was just checking. I'm just checking if you're fake.
You're fake.
What? Fake.
NTL, baby. We love Vanguard. NTL. Yeah, nothing to lose. You know what? I've decided I'm LOTR.
What, Lord of the Rings?
Yeah. Last of the real.
What's that?
Last of the real.
Guys, you always flexing those muscles in these videos, aren't you?
Yeah, he's jacked.
Yeah, bro. Now they ask.
Oh god.
Wait, we haven't tested my push-up performance after I've been in the gym. I bet I can do like 20 now. Maybe 25.
Yeah, we'll see.
Nah,
We'll test it. We'll test
crazy.
it. We'll
25
test it
is crazy.
after.
Yo, run it, man. Come on.
I never.
Have you guys ever been on the CDL comms check video ever?
No.
No, right? Okay.
No, we never get put in because we talk about important and they just deny it.
And the only time we're in there, it's us making a dog noise.
Do you not speak French?
No, I don't. Speak Latin American. I'm Spanish, man. Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo te llamo? Oh. Look, bleeding, bro. I just cut myself on the toilet paper, dude.
What the Yo, this guy cut himself on toilet paper, dude. That takes a real moron to complete. Like, that's a mission that only a real dumb can actually fulfill.
Off the point. Mack staying alive as long as he can. What a beautiful flank this could be. The second. Oh, God, the round's gone. Like they are. Brent has an opportunity. There's the first. There's the second. Turns on. And still, if fire works out, do you get any more? Yeah, that is 5. The Young Guns in round 11. And they go back. He commits quarter in time. And you bet he will. That's it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Call of Duty League. Belly, Alley, and also Nameless, but also we have a big game to play. It's going to be the Seattle Surge versus the Florida Mutineers, and as Seattle takes on Florida, the question is, what version of Seattle are we going to get today? Now, Alley, we've seen Seattle against the likes of Atlanta FaZe, where they're great, right? But they also went against the Los Angeles Thieves and gave them a swift 3-0. I'm thinking they're back on track now.
I think they're back on track as well, especially after the interview with Dante when we talked to Simp, and he was like, you know, I asked him that question about, I see you pulling out the MP40 and the automaton based on the situation and the hills that you're in, and I think you're the only flex player that does that. I think that's really interesting. I think it might help your team, but he actually goes, oh no, Accuracy actually said I need to stop doing that so I can add more consistency across the board for our squad, so I'm not adding all these, you know, outside opponents into the mix. So I'm interested to see that in this series, to see if that's kind of what got them back on track, is to just keep the repetition, keep the consistency, so everybody knows what they're doing. Because when I sat down and thought about it, you know, I was like, oh, I can see where that would be troublesome because accuracy might be going up in posted up positions with an AR, and Simp, reading that situation, might be pulling out an AR and going in those same power positions and throwing accuracy off of his groove and making him rotate to a different lane. So I'm wondering to see how that plays out in this series, and when this goes to the game fuel keys to victory, Nameless, what do they got to do?
Simp has to continue the dominant Major III qualifier performance. He is #1 in the league right now, popping off with a 1.26, and then stay hot and control. A game mode that has not been great for them throughout this game. They're 9-1 round count during the Major III qualifiers. Berlin has been great for them, winning at 3-0 in their last series, and also imposed SMG advantage on Bocage hardpoint. Florida on a 3-game Bocage HP losing streak, where traditionally, remember, they were great at that map. That was Florida's bread and butter. But Seattle also great at that map, and that is going to be map #1 in this series. So I expect it to be extremely fast-paced, and that is going to be the map for me that's most important in this one as well.
And when it comes to the Seattle Surge, I'm really hoping that they pick things up and respawn, because when that boy goes, when that boy Pred goes rogue, he's absolutely untouchable, right? But also the Florida Mutineers, last time we saw them on screen, they went against the Minnesota Røkkr, and the Minnesota Røkkr aren't the same team that we saw stage 1 to stage 2, and because of which Minnesota won 3-1, but that still doesn't change my mind about what I think about Florida. They still put up a good fight, and it was a close game.
Yeah, I mean, Florida, they just have some stuff to work on. They're a bit inconsistent when it comes to gameplay, obviously, overall. Search and destroy this stage, not great for them. The First Bloods have to be better. They're last in league when it comes to First Bloods, so they have to improve there, which has led for them to be in a lot of 3v4 situations, which they're #2 in, right? So this is a team that, if they're winning Search and Destroys, they're playing all right. And looking at the map set in this one, they have Berlin and Tuscan. Those are actually the only 2 Search and Destroys that they even have a map win on. They have 0 map wins when it comes to Bocage and Desert Siege. So they sort of have to play these maps when it comes to Berlin and Tuscan, which puts them in bad spots against teams that are good at those maps. Luckily, versus Seattle, both the records are kind of even when it comes to that. So Mutineers have some wiggle room here in this map set.
All right, so when it comes to the game field keys to victory, Ali, what you got?
Well, Bear showing them maps 2 and 5. They have lost 8 out of the last 9 search and destroys that they have been put into. They are 0-2 on Bocage, respectively, and 0-6 on Desert Siege, respectively. And SD post-plant settings critical versus Seattle Surge. Seattle retaking sites 59% of the time in neutral situations. That is first overall in the league. The Seattle Surge across the board is a solid team, especially when it comes to search and destroy. And Sky's need to step up to slaying a 0.98 KD during Major III qualifiers, a 1.10 prior, and that's actually insane to me, because the last series they were in, the first map versus Minnesota, Skies dropped a 2.10 KD to take the first hard point in the series, 250 to 114. However, they end up losing the next 3 in a very convincing fashion.
Hey, shout out to Skies. He could put up those numbers, but hopefully Florida can continue to put up more wins in the WL column. But it's going to be time for pick'ems. Ali, I went with Nameless first last time. I think I did. No,
you went with me.
It was you. Okay, well, you know what? Ladies first again. Who do you have winning this game? Seattle or Florida? I know how you feel about Florida.
You all know how I feel about Florida. I might be marked as a Florida hater at this point, but I think Seattle Surge take it. I really think they're starting to hit form once again, and when it comes to a team like Florida, the consistency just isn't there.
Right. Now, Nameless, when it comes to consistency, do you think we're going to see the better end of Florida or the better end of Seattle?
I mean, I think both these teams have been inconsistent, honestly.
I agree.
They're sort of equal for me. I'm going to go with the Florida Mutineers. Looking at the map set, I think they have a good chance in this series to take it 3-2 fashion.
I think this is going to be a toss-up, to be completely honest. Florida, in my opinion, are better in respawn, but I feel like ultimately on a consistent level, that's going to be Seattle's bread and butter. Also, Seattle is better in search and destroy in my eyes as well. So I think that this is going to be a really big 3-1 win for Seattle, because Lord knows they need the momentum heading into Major 3, but it's about that time to get this game started. We got Bryson 10 on the mic. Fellas, my European brothers, it's good to see you again.
Thank you much, fella. Yes, we are very much looking forward to this game, Florida versus Seattle. An important game for so many reasons. Obviously, these two teams are sitting in what I'm now calling the bubble on the way to champs. About 6 teams in it. These two teams are only 10 points apart, and a lot of those teams are trying to make sure they qualify going forward. So there's an awful lot on the line for these two. Depending on their schedule, there's not going to be that much more available, Ton.
There isn't, and we do talk about those bubble teams quite a lot, but there is quite a lot of teams in this. I think it is quite large at this stage.
It is a 16, but and just so we're clear what we're talking about, on the run up to champs now, obviously there are, yes, you can get a good amount of points at the majors, 65 for first, 50 for second, and so on, but in each qualifier section there's only 50 as well. We're coming to the end of one of the last qualifier sections, only one more after this. This means that there are a few teams battling for it. It goes from Minnesota Røkkr, Seattle Surge, Thieves, Mutineers, Ultra, and Subliners are all the teams who could either make or break champs.
on the next few weeks. Essentially, if they do well here and at the major, they have a good chance of getting themselves out of that danger zone.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really the opportune moment for a lot of these teams to get things rolling. But I think, you know, between these two teams, it obviously is very close on that stage. And I think looking at these maps as well, I feel like they're very, very close as well. I mean, I was literally looking at the stats for every single one of these maps. Both two teams, very similar records across all of them. Both teams actually on Bacage Hardpoint, which is going to be our very first map. Both 5-5 on that currently. But one thing that I found very, very strange, Brycey, these two have only actually played each other once over the season. That was all the way back in week number 3 of stage 1. So going all the way back, which is quite some time ago, when Seattle were really at the top of their game and Florida was still kind of mixy, it was a Florida 3-0. So
I'm sorry, that makes me laugh. Like 5-5 on Bacage for both teams, like the definition of mid.
Oh, it's so mid. But I don't know why you would go against Florida on this map. That's the only thing as well, though. I know the stats are like that, but I feel like with Florida, their record, they've challenged a lot of the top teams on this as well. They played FaZe, they played OpTic, and they seem to be the only teams that lost it against. So, I don't know. I think it's a strange pick for Seattle, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll certainly have to find out. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's a very important, depending on these two teams' schedules moving forward, to get the points locked and loaded. Right now, obviously, a little bit of a dance around P1 as both teams just try to lock it down, as Vivid already manages to find 2. And again, this is all about positioning for P2. You can see both these teams really kind of reluctant to commit to too much time.
See how Dave Paddy's going to do during this series. 1.2 against Seattle last time they turned out. It really was the ARs on the side of Florida that got the job done last time around. But honestly, the way that Simp has been playing in general over this stage so far, he's a scary prospect for a lot of these teams. But so far, so good for the Seattle Surge. Mack at 5-1. I think it was the notorious flu game that we've seen out of him, wasn't it? What was it? What did they call Mack? What was it when Mack was yak on the stage and he managed to drop like loads of kills when it comes down to Bacage? Either way, a good start from a 5-2. Rotation though belongs at this moment in time towards the Seattle Surge. Although sorry to the Florida Mutineers here. It's hard. The coloring's very similar, Brycey. What can I say?
Yeah, it can be a little bit of a challenge, but we'll try and make sure this all goes smoothly for everyone at home. Right now, it's still a bit of a battle going on as they try to hold this one down. It's not really a complete hold from them, though. They do have the spawn lost. You can already see the pinch coming through, but Dave Paddy trying to hold on all the pressure that was coming. Will, of course, be that scrap time over towards the Seattle Surge. Should bring this game pretty even.
It's a good chunk of scrap time as well, Brycey. Around 30 seconds or so that they've got to play with here. So the Mutineers are ready to find this rotation over towards P3. It's their favourite hill when it does come down to Bacage. We know that the map in particular is very, very mixy. It's hard to gain too much of an advantage, but on average, they're getting more than, well, the average, I would say, for all these other teams. They do tend to lock down a good amount of time here. 90% of the time they hold it when they have this rotation over. But, well, that's not looking likely now, as 2 kills are going to be found towards the back. Simp just trying to work over towards the backside, trying to get a hold of the spawns. Dave Paddy finding an important one, but accuracy inside the hills. Seattle Surge found a break.
Had a little bit of a break, but they didn't really have the numbers to back it up as Vivid and Skies combine. And now Florida Mutineers are in control, so going to try and find something towards the back, and eventually finds Awakening. And Awakening says thank you very much for that kill. The rest of Seattle Surge trying to get in position for this one as well, and Mack calls it perfectly. Finds him in the corner, looks for Skies, does get shut down as both teams keep pouring players into this.
Yeah, we talked about Skies having to pick it up. Heading into this series, not necessarily been have the best of times over towards stage 3. Not too bad of a start, I say that, 3-6. But still, important kills are what we talk about. I mean, you know, during challenges during the week, I'm not going to specifically point out any versions of what happened, but there's occasions where players are finding 2 pieces to win the games and things like that. So it's not necessarily always down to those kill to death ratios. It's the important kills you find. A couple of important ones coming in there. Side of Skies, 7-6, I should say. Sorry.
This is still a very tight game between the two of them. Eventually, it will be Seattle Surge that get hold of Barn, and at the moment, I do feel like they're doing a better job around this map. It's not the biggest of distances so far, but hey, it's Bacage. That's kind of what happens over and over again. Pred gonna find his Simp, looking for the glide bomb now, but will be cut down by Vivid before he can actually get anything rolling. Simp gonna find Skies, and that double back does not fall in for a second. And now this is a good hold here onto Barn. Seattle Surge have got this one locked in. And they are winning the kill feed as well. And now, if you are going to be the Florida Mutineers, it's time to regroup and regain and get all the way into River.
Yeah, rotation over towards P4, or 5, sorry, so it's coming in there now. Back up top, he may be able to disrupt this, but the rest of his team picking up that scrap time. This is a healthy lead for the side of Seattle Surge when it comes down to Prolute. It's not one we see too often. Mack has momentarily slipped the nets. That would have been a good gunfight to win. Awakening will get traded though. And all of a sudden, this gunfight against Vivid is so important. But Simp continuing where he left off here in stage 3. Eventually will get taken down. Mutineers a little bit fortunate to get the spawns towards the back. It's looking like Seattle may have found a breakthrough there. But Mutineers just about holding on to those spawns and crucially onto the hill as well. Seattle Surge still trying for the push towards the back. It's only momentarily Pred left in a position to do anything. And that's a good hold from the Mutineers. Yeah, they needed that.
They managed to get a little bit back into this one, and Skies and Vivids combining there just to make sure they couldn't get past them. And now already spreading out. You know Seattle Surge aren't really going to push this tempo too hard. They'll be setting up, trying to lock down a little bit of time on P1, but more importantly, that rotation for P2. It'd be dreadful for them to lose it for about 10 seconds of scrap.
Nice little spree going on from Vivid here. Most engagements across, well, everybody in this team when it does come down to Prolute, and that surprises absolutely nobody. P1 now coming up. Mutineers have definitely reduced that deficit. Around 50 or 60 at one point for Seattle Surge. That's a really nice hold over towards P5. They've strung it up with a couple of kills, heading over towards the next hill as well. Vivid is still going. 6 spree from him. If you can find one more, it's a glide, and that might help them break over towards P2 in around 40 seconds or so. There's still time.
There is, and again, this basically we might have reset the map, gone all the way back to the first rotation ton, because it is neck and neck. And again, the same story is playing out here on Prolute. P1, while it's good to get a little bit of time and soak it up, it is not usual for either team to really dominate on it. It's all about these spawns. It's all about holding down P2 and looking for the lion's share of time. At the moment, you can see the Mutineers are trying to stretch towards the back. Vivid is going to be making a play towards 10, but he's gunned by accuracy. Sky's making 2 in barn. But at the moment, it does seem like Seattle Surge will hold this down for P2.
Yeah, but the ace in the hold here for the side of Mutineers is that Vivid does have a hold of that glide bomb. Do you choose to invest it here? Or do you wait for things maybe getting a little bit scary, or do you just secure some sort of time with an Awakening though of top barn, surviving if only momentarily? As they paddy with him, as the rest of the team now coming off the respawn. Keep an eye on Pred inside of Grandma's. Trying to cause a ruckus and has done so. This is really well held by the Seattle Surge. Brilliantly held, actually. Pred pushing out just causes chaos in the Mutineers back line, and all of a sudden you can't even push out. Accuracy holding down the street. And look where Mutineers are spawning right now. They can't even get close to the point. They can't even get at Grandma's.
Yeah, we managed to finally find their glide bomb, and that's just to relieve more of the pressure. Yeah. It is going to allow them to kind of escape the trap they were put in, because on P2, you can push out quite a distance. Unfortunately, a glide bomb does nothing if you don't make a kill to back it up. And they try to get out, and they've just pushed right back in. And Accuracy and Vivid just completely slide cancelled his lips off. And now you're going to see, is there a way the Mutineers will have this spawn because they were forced into it? Can they hold it and get some time back?
Yeah, that's a disastrous P2. As you said, the glide bomb goes. Questionable, I would say, in that occasion. Kind of just choke it. You've already got 2 inside of Grandma's to get past you. You've got accuracy over towards the street as well. It's already a hard break on a few different fronts. And now can the break come here for Seattle Surge? Can they continue their dominance? Simp inside the point 1 and 2. Contested is the third there, not quite. Awakening, the only one left momentarily for the side of the Mutineers. Mack will find the kills at the front. Accuracy trying to line things up here towards the tank. But already you can see Pred in that prime position to slow down the Mutineers. This is wonderful from Seattle Surge so far.
One of the most infamous farming locations on this entire map, and he finds 2. Not going to be able to find the third, but Simp will just get it as well, and the slaying is paying dividends. Seattle Surge are going further and further into the lead. The Mutineers need a big rotation and a big hold to have a chance to come back.
To be fair, Bryce, last time around, Seattle Surge had about this lead, although it is a little bit more than the lead they had heading over towards P4 last time, as Pred finds another 2 towards the back. But honestly, Mutineers have been here before. That P5 hold last time was wonderful, but Seattle Surge, the last 3 hills in a row, they've been there on the rotation, they've locked them down, and consequently locked down a lot of time. Let's see if they can continue.
Well, at the moment, we're going to see Mutineers trying to get into this barn. So let's go for a listen with the current leading team of Seattle Surge.
T3, I'm trying to hold on.
He's A plat. I'm going to go. Low water.
One A plat. I'm top house. I'm just finessing, okay?
T1, I heard.
He's back twos.
T1, 1 shot.
I need a hole. He's dead.
Good time, you guys. Good time. Look at my trips bench.
Nothing.
Awakening was T1.
Oh, top on, Awakening. Oh, dead. Nice, boys.
I'm going.
He was like front gate. He stunned over from there.
I'm going left.
I'm gonna wait in the corner by the house. I'm waiting in the corner by the house.
Okay, I'm going top.
I'm going top. Nothing bench. Another time.
He's not camo.
One shot on time.
Tunnel. Running to A-plant.
Dead.
Nice.
In the back, Dave, one shot.
I'm going tunnel.
Okay.
Staying on the open tower.
I'm just saying. I'm going around again. You guys
Not Zig, not Zig.
I'm bottom house right now.
I'm
I'll go on tail.
One shot tunnel.
Yeah, I can hit front.
I'm going top house. I don't have any time.
I can't see time. Time, race front time. I'm fighting out. Front time, dead. I got time. Just keep it away. Keep it away. One more close ramp. I'm just keeping it white.
Okay.
Tower ramp, shit on him. I'm fucking shitting on him. Get time. If you
Someone get on it.
I'm gonna get on it. I'm on bottom house right now. Bottom house, one shot.
Huge comms there from Seattle Surge. The strategy actually coming out from them, just keep them off River Hill. And they did a very good job of it for the most part, but eventually going to go down as Pred falls as well, even when he's 33 and 25. There are some points flying in here for the Florida Mutineers, and maybe a little bit of confidence too.
Maybe if they can string something together here, you never know. Slaying-wise, very, very even for the side of Florida Mutineers, but Pred is having a game at 33 and 25 now. And this is where we see Mutineers pick up the majority of their time last time. They do a good job over towards P5, but can they flip this here? Now Vivid and Co starting to find kills. This is starting to get a little bit scary. It's a 4-3-3 streak on the side of Mutineers. We have not seen a Seattle Surge kill in quite some time. The map is now being flipped. If your Mutineers are in the best possible spot, if they can string together even one glide bomb here, you're screaming back into the game. Vivid is going to get caught out as Simp finds two, though, and all those streaks are dissipated very, very quickly. But for the side of Seattle Surge, looking to try and flip that over towards field is going to be their objective here. Not in too much danger of a P1 hold, getting Florida Mutineers back into this one. It's all about the rotation over towards P2, which is still with the Mutineers here. Brycey starting to get a touch scary.
This will be an incredible comeback if they can manage it here. A little bit of soak on a P1. Vivid going to go for the chow. Does get it. Skies gets another kill. The biggest news at the moment, though, 10 seconds before P2 looms on the horizon. And the Florida Mutineers have made an impressive comeback. If so, can Seattle Surge break this? That's what they're going to be looking for. A huge hold for the Mutineers if they can make it. Keep an eye on that mini-map. Here comes the first engagement. Seattle Surge are winning a few of them as well. Only Awakening now. Really needs to just hold this for his team before they get pinned.
Spawns are still there, but it was massive kills that came in over towards Barn. It's a good job they got rid of Simp, who was pushing from Riverside. But Pred just being a nuisance in and around Barn is going to be an issue here. Vivid, can he clean them out? It's still Pred going. 5 spree for him. Not going to find the 6, but Awakening in over towards Grandma's. Florida Mutineers still on the spawn, but Seattle Surge have just etched away at what Florida Mutineers have done there. They're only 10 points away, which is huge for them. 25 seconds left to play for here over towards P2. Mutineers looking to lock that time in. They're not going to be too far off the Surge here, but can they break this P3 hold and also keep the scrap time?
They've not really made a push here, Florida, for about 30 seconds. They're looking for it, and Vivid is going to be dangerous. Seattle Surge have bet everything on this rotation. They have put their entire game on the line for it, and Vivid tries to break through, but he can't, and now Awakening in the back, but no! It's a complete denial and a complete shutdown. Florida Mutineers have not been able to break as they sprint towards this desperately, but they run into the guns of Seattle, and down they fall, and Seattle will take that hard point. But it did get a little bit stressful at the end, Ton.
It did get a touch stressful, didn't it? It's one of those scenarios that, I mean, we see it quite a lot, don't we? When it gets down to it, it comes down to that final rotation. You're leading the game, but you're stuck in Grandma's. Even over towards P1, they lost a lot of time there. And then the rotation to P2 from Florida. Very, very good, but just simply not enough.
No, it really wasn't. Maybe a little bit of a better start at the beginning may have paid out for them, but the final stats coming through. Pred dropping a 40 bomb, 41 and 31, 30 untraded kills with 4,295 damage. Certainly a force to be reckoned with on Bacage. And as you can tell, the slaying was there for Seattle in the beginning, and they're probably not going to be happy how that ended. While it is a win, it was a bit stressful. I'm not going to lie to you. I did think if Florida Mutineers have made one small break towards the end, it would have been a ridiculous comeback. And Seattle got to figure out why that happened.
I mean, it's kind of relative at the same time, though. I would say over towards P2, towards the end there. Had the game not necessarily been so close for Seattle to be able to win it over towards P3, they probably, I would say, challenge for that a little bit more. They kind of allowed Mutineers to have the rest of that time so they could set up over towards P3. Still, it did get a bit scary, but when you can get yourself set up, it's very, very difficult. for a team to try and find that break over towards the back, as we've seen. Awakening and Vivid. They're one of the ones that was entrusted on to get something done, but unfortunately when there's 4 members of Seattle there, it's just very, very difficult. But yeah, Seattle, I would say I'd like to see them maybe work on their P5 hold maybe a little bit more. It was a couple of occasions where Florida, that's where they were finding a lot of their success. And then, of course, heading into the rotation from there over towards P1, a little bit of time, a little bit of ground mouse control, mix it up, and you've got a few points on the board. But ultimately, Seattle Surge across every single other hill, specifically 2 and 3. Very, very solid. Florida Mutineers will be disappointed with that themselves, though. To come so close towards the end there,
gone ton.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the highlights we're currently seeing. 220 to 148, halfway through River Hill. At that point, the next 2.5 rotations, essentially Seattle only get another like 14 points.